This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is Riley Matthews, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rove Energy and Player One Coffee for our 200th interview. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it is a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with Riley Matthews.
Yes, great introduction.
What we like to do with Big Heel. How are you, Riley?
I am fantastic. I just got off of a great weekend of wrestling, so I can't be any better.
And where can we find you wrestling next?
I currently regularly wrestle in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. I do sometimes travel, but my schedule's on the busier side right now, so I'm kind of limited. But yeah, so anyone in the Cincinnati area, feel free to check me out.
And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
I do have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Threads, and I'm also on TikTok. So you can literally probably just look up my name and I should pop up. But if that doesn't work, my usernames are all the same across the board. It's going to be Riley with 3 Ys and then Matthews.
And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all for social media will be in the description of the video below or on YouTube and Castbox.
Yes, exactly. And I made your life easier. So if you look me up on one social media, I linked my link tree and it will have the links to all of my other social medias. So it's just one click away.
Cool. Alright, let's get into it. You work for NFW. Can you tell us about
NWF, yes.
Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
So that is actually where I started training. So they do have a training facility in One Place, Ohio, that is ran by Roger Ruffin, a former referee for WWE, like a long time ago. Yeah, he runs a training school there. So I started there a couple years ago. And then you just kind of work your way up. So they have a Future Stars roster where I'll work there regularly. And then they have their main roster, which is what the NWF is. So I work there pretty much every weekend unless I choose to take an outside booking at another promotion or another state. But NWF will forever be my home. That's where I've pretty much built myself.
Alright. And most recently, you wrestled Marti Bell.
Yes, I did.
You just didn't wrestle her, you beat her.
I did, and she was very salty about it, but you know, I'm up and coming, so I warned her. I said, stay out of my way.
It did seem like she wasn't expecting it.
No, she was not. I hit her with the 1, 2, 3 out of nowhere, so that was my special tactic going into it.
But I mean, what was the experience like? You know, going up against obviously a big name in pro wrestling, and then ultimately getting the pin on her.
Honestly, it was a very fun experience. Just wrestling someone who has an amazing background behind them, and just having the opportunity to work with someone like her. Like I never, in my 2 years of my experience, I never thought that something like that would happen for a couple more years actually. So I was very grateful once I heard that I was getting the opportunity to wrestle Marti Bell, and then not only wrestling her, but beating her. I literally reversed her own finisher, which is crazy, but I've been studying, and doing my tape study, so I was more than prepared than she was, obviously.
Does seem like I said, she was not happy at the end result. Do you see round two coming up anytime soon?
I hope so, because I would definitely love to be 2-0 against her. Just to say that I'm better than Marti Bell. I mean, come on now.
And I mean, if we're getting into it, I mean, she is associated with Allison Kay.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe a win over Allison Kay as well.
Yeah, that way I can say I've beaten both members of the Hex and walk around with that on my shoulder.
Are you talking to Marty after the match? Is there uh is what are you talking about after the match? If you are.
No, she avoided me at all costs because she was very upset that I beat her, so she wanted nothing to do with me after that match.
Okay. Now, you also competed for Mission Pro and CCW, Capital Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
Two major promotions in America currently. What does it mean to you to be on two of the biggest independents out there right now?
Honestly, it was just so crazy because I did both of those with my tag partner. Um, she is Big Mama. We are known as the Forces of Nature. So I went to both of those with her, and I just doing both of those made me really, really love and appreciate the art of tag team wrestling. Like just the psychology that's with it, the chemistry that you have with your tag partner. It really made me fall in love with tag wrestling. And then not only that, but getting to do that for two of the bigger promotions was just absolutely crazy. I learned a lot in Mission Pro, especially from Thunder Rosa, just getting that feedback and just things to work on and improve and stuff I did really good that I should keep doing. It really elevated me. And I worked for her only 4 months in to my career. And there's already been drastic improvements since then just from getting all of the knowledge and advice from Thunder Rosa. So I will greatly forever appreciate her and Mission Pro Wrestling and CCW. They're all great.
I mean, just looking at that card for Mission Pro, it was really stacked.
Oh
But
my gosh, yeah. And then not only that, I look behind me and I see Mark Henry sitting there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is my life right now? Like, what is happening? It was just so cool.
did he tell you it's time for the main event?
No, he did not because you're unfortunately not the main event. But I would have died if I heard that.
And I mean, in Mission Pro, you honestly, arguably went up against one of the biggest names in women's tag team um, wrestling, the Renegade twins. What was that
Yeah,
matchup like?
oh my gosh, they were so incredible. They still are, and their mom's amazing. Not to mention, I love Angie to death. Um, But yeah, I absolutely loved working with them. They really kind of pushed me because I was only 4 months into my career and I was just doing unimaginable things. Like that day, I learned that I could backflip and land on my feet. Like I had no idea I could do that until that day. So they really made me kind of discover myself a little bit more. And I would work a match with them 100 days a week.
Well, talking about when you first got into the ring, you debuted in July of 2021. As of this
Yes.
recording, yesterday was your 2 year anniversary.
It
Um,
was, and oh my gosh, it was. Just looking back, I can't believe it's already been 2 years. Let alone all the things that I've accomplished in those 2 years. Like it just makes the little girl in me just cry because I never would have thought like 2 years I would have done everything that I've done.
and I mean, just in your first month, in August of 2021, you won your first title, no?
I did, yeah. Literally 1 month in, I had already won a championship, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like what?" But yeah, it was. I definitely cried. So I couldn't post that video because I was so embarrassed of how much I was crying. But I was like, "Oh my lord!" It was crazy, and it's definitely a moment that I'll never forget.
It was against Big Mama, correct?
Yes, it was.
Was that kind of revenge for her body slamming you?
Yeah. I had it out for her since day one, and I always will. Ever since that body slam when I was just an innocent little trainee ringing the bell.
Going back to Missing Pro and CCW, obviously I said nature of promotions in the independents right now. But one thing I did leave out, all women's show, um, Missing Pro and CCW. So is there a difference of being on an all female wrestling show? What does it kind of mean to you to be on an all female show? Like, what is that experience like for you?
It's definitely a lot better. I will say, I'm being very biased when I say that because I'm a woman, but I've been on a few. I think 3 or 4. I don't remember, but yeah, I've been on a few all women shows, and it's so empowering to be surrounded by so many women who have the same dream as you, the same goals that they want to reach, and it's just so amazing, and it's a great environment. And from when I started watching wrestling, it's just crazy to see how much women's wrestling has evolved and come up, and just kind of being a part of that era where women's wrestling is a big deal, and then getting our own spotlight to have our own all-women's show is just absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to be a part of many more. I actually do have one coming up at the end of the month. That's an all-women's show, the first one. So I'm very excited for that.
Alright. And Big Mama, good friend or better enemy?
It kind of depends on the mood she's in, I won't lie. But from my experience, she's definitely been the better enemy because literally no matter where we go, we always end up fighting each other. So I think we're just bound to wrestle each other forever, which is fine with me because she makes me feel strong when I can beat her up and win.
Right. Now you were backstage for AEW. What was that experience like? And what was you doing back there?
It was honestly very incredible just being around all of the amazing people who have worked so hard to build up professional wrestling, and just like sharing a locker room with them and getting advice from them and just, shaking hands and getting your name out there. It was just an amazing experience, and I hope to do it again in the future and actually maybe be a part of the roster. We'll see. I don't know what my future holds. Um, but I'm definitely hoping to go back again soon. I really enjoyed my time there.
Who was you talking back? Was there anybody you were talking to backstage?
There was a few. I was actually in catering, and Soraya was one of the people who came and sat on my table, and we were just kind of talking about, like, how she was before she was big and stuff, and she was super sweet. And then I was watching the matches, and Mark Henry sat next to me, and he's just an angel of a human being, and I absolutely love him. So, and I hope everyone gets a chance to meet him because he's absolutely incredible. Other than that, I didn't really talk to too many people just because it was kind of already hectic, and I didn't want to be that person to be like, hey, oh my gosh.
Did Mark remember you from the Missing Person?
I don't think so, because he didn't say anything, but he might have. But it was also a few years before that, so.
Gotcha. But you did meet RVD, the whole effing show.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was so fun. I totally forgot I did that.
What was that moment like?
It was really awesome. Just to be able to share a locker room with him and get a picture with him. It was just so cool. And then I sent it to my dad, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, no way!" Because that's one that he used to watch as a kid. So it was just like a full circle moment right there.
Alright. Now, you also won the PGWA Rookie of the Year last year.
Yes.
What does something like that mean to you?
Well, from the video I posted, I was bawling my eyes out. Oh my gosh, my dog's barking. Of course, she would bark right now. But yeah, it was a very surreal moment. I literally had no idea it was coming. I was about to get out of the ring to go to the back, and Wildcat Girls Harris came out to me. He was like, "No, no, no, stay in the ring." I was like, "What? What's happening? Do I just need to keep like celebrating my win or what?" And then I saw a certificate come in the ring, and in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh, this is probably for my tag partner because she's in the military, so they probably like are having a special moment for her." And the next thing I know, they say my name, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I like fell to the ground, and I was like, "Wake me up from this dream. This is not happening right now." But this award is like, it's not just something that's given out to just anybody. They definitely do the research on, who's been working their butt off and improving and just making their name. And this is also an award that China has won. Mickey James has won it. So, I mean, there's just amazing women to have held this way before me. So just having my name in that list of amazing women is just, it's so surreal. And I will forever have that hanging up on my wall.
That's incredible, having your name next to China and Mickey James.
Yeah.
That has to be a surreal moment, no?
It is, because those are both women that I've always watched, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my name is like right next to them. Like, what?
You also won the recently the Breaking Barriers Award as well.
I did. So that was one that wasn't given in front of a crowd. It was kind of given more privately this year for the all women's show. Um, but what was said when I was given that award was just like, just hearing that from other people, that like reassurance that like, yeah, you're doing great, just keep it up and stuff like that, because this business it's a lot. Sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough. Sometimes you feel like you're overworking and it's not paying off, and stuff like that. So just having that award to remind you, like, yeah, you're doing all right and everything's gonna be okay. It's very nice. So I hope to keep working hard and win more awards in my future, and just have a whole wall with a bunch of plaques up and all the awards, just to look back at all my hard work and know that my hard work will pay off.
I mean, it's what you've done in such a short time is incredible. Um, and winning championship awards, going to different countries. And where is like your headspace in getting so much in such a short amount of time? What's your mentality?
Honestly, it's it's a lot. Just because it literally is all happening so fast. And I recently had to take a couple weeks off to just kind of sit back and reset and just revamp my focus on where I'm going and what I'm doing. Just because it's literally all like happening so fast. And I was getting very overwhelmed. I was getting mentally drained and just everything. And like you can love pro wrestling all you want, but you also have to know when you need a break, because you put your body and your mind through so much with wrestling, and you gotta know when to take a break. And I was like, yeah, it's my time to take a break, because I knew before I wanted to take a break that I had a couple Saturdays off where I wasn't wrestling. So I was like, this is my sign from the Lord above that I need to take a break. So I just took full advantage of that and took my break, and it was very much needed, because I can feel that energy back in me. Like, yeah, let's do this. Round two, baby.
Well, after everything you have done, there's one thing that you haven't done that you want to do that we're not sure when it's going to happen, and that is a forklift match.
Yes, it needs to happen before November because that's when my certification expires. But if it happens after November, I am more than committed to go and get it renewed because a forklift match would be so fun.
I don't remember who, but somebody did say that they have a forklift. So this
Yeah, I remember that. If anybody wants a forklift match, I've got the forklift and the certification, so let's do this.
Alright, but the question being, doesn't your opponent need to have a certification to be in the forklift match as well?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm so desperate to have a forklift match that I will pay for them to go get a certificate.
Alright, so who are we paying to get certified to be in the forklift match?
I don't know, anybody that wants to step up. If you know anybody, if your friends know anybody, I'm willing to take anybody. This is my official open challenge.
Alright, so if you want to be in a forklift match with Riley Matthews, um, I guess DM Riley. and
Yeah, hit me up and I will get that set up. If we're going to travel to Canada to do it, so be it.
I do know a couple of willing participants in Canada.
Yep, and I do have a passport, so I will travel.
Sweet. But is that certificate valid in Canada?
I hope so. And I hope that the Canadian borders aren't going to be suspicious when I bring a forklift across the border.
Ma'am, what are you doing with that forklift?
We don't ask questions here, guys. Just keep moving along.
Hypothetically, what are the rules to a forklift match?
You know, that is a great question. I don't think I've ever personally watched a forklift match. So I'm going to have to do my research and come back with that one, because even I don't know the rules.
Brock Lesnar versus Big Show at, what was it? It wasn't No Mercy. It was either No Mercy, no, Judgment Day. Brock Lesnar versus Big Show, Judgment Day, 2003. Technically a stretcher match, but, there was a forklift involved.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was like a thing, because that was like a year after I was born.
And
Well, now I know, and I'm going to have to go watch it.
Right, we've talked about Canada. You mentioned Canada. Can you tell us about being being checked at the border?
So going into Canada, super easy. They just ask you why you're there. They'll check your passport and make sure you know you're the same person. And then they'll let you in. But coming back into the U.S. is a whole different story, and it makes me very scared to leave this country again because they ask you some like down hard questions like, oh, why are you in this specific car? Oh, why is this person not driving instead of you? Like, yeah, it's just a whole thing, and I'm like, all right, just let me back into my country, man.
Well, it sounds more like an easier trip than some of the other people that have had to cross the border.
Yeah, Canada, super easy. U.S., not so much.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely more strict.
Now, you competed for OVW.
Yes.
What was that experience like? Because obviously, when it comes to developing talent, they are highly regarded.
Honestly, it was a really fun experience. Nonetheless, the ring is super nice. It's the biggest ring I've wrestled in. Theirs is a 20 by 20 foot ring, which is the same that WWE and AEW uses. So it's like, heck yeah, I got all this room to do everything, and it was super nice. But I've only wrestled in a Rumble there, and then a tag match. So I've never gotten like my actual chance to like have the singles match there yet. So hopefully in the future, if I ever do go back. But the other two matches I had were so fun, and I just never wanted it to end because the crowd is amazing, and just doing all the TV work is so fun, and it's honestly less stressful than like just doing an indie match where it's not TV, because like with the TV match you get time to just like slow down and not have to rush, and it's just great.
Okay. Well, I think that it's time to go into our next segment. Rory Matthews' Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh gosh. Oh, I have a terrible memory. Let's see if I can think of anything. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I was with my boyfriend and a couple of our other friends, and we were all coming back from wrestling in West Virginia. And it was the winter time, and there was a winter storm. So, we leave, and it's light snowfall, nothing too big. We're like, alright, cool. If it stays like this, there's no issue. We'll get home just fine. Next thing you know, 30 minutes goes by, and the snow's getting thicker, and it's coming down harder. And we're like, no, we're fine. We're not going to freak out. We only have an hour and a half till we're home. Everything's going to be fine. So we just keep strolling, and I look back, and one of our buddies is dead asleep in the back seat, and my boyfriend's driving, and he's starting to freak out, and I want to fall asleep because I'm tired, and it's midnight, and I'm just ready to go to bed, but I'm trying my hardest to stay awake because I know we're in the middle of a snowstorm, and he's freaking out, and I don't want to fall asleep, but we just keep driving. 30 minutes later, we hit the highway, and the highways are absolutely covered in snow, and everyone is driving 30 miles an hour down the highway. I'm like, great. We've come to terms that we are stuck in the middle of a snowstorm, but we're not going to die. We're going to be fine. And my boyfriend's over there freaking out. Like, oh my god. And then snow starts building up in his tires, so we have to pull over like every 15 minutes to clear the snow out. And there's only one snow plow, and he's only plowing the fast lane. So we try to get behind him, and it's just not doing anything. He's clearing the snow, but under the snow is ice, so it's no good anyways. So we just keep driving, and what turned into a 2.5-hour drive became a 7-hour drive because of the snowstorm. So instead of getting home at like 1 in the morning, we got home at 4:30 a.m. from a wrestling show, and that was our first time, and hopefully the last, driving in that bad of a snowstorm.
Wow.
Yeah, that night was absolutely crazy.
I was going to say, that sounds super intense.
It was very scary. Oh, there's another little side story. I mean, it's bad, but not that crazy, but we were coming back from the same promotion in West Virginia, and we get 10 minutes down the road, and then we get rear-ended by a driver. So, I mean, if I can say something confidently, I can say that wrestling there cursed us, because 2 times we left, very bad things happened to us.
Maybe they're just really bad drivers over there.
Yeah.
Your boyfriend's also a wrestler, correct?
Yes.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of having your significant other in the same profession as yourself?
Honestly, there is more good than bad. Because you guys just get to travel together and wrestle everywhere together, and just talk wrestling together, and it's so cute, and I love it. But the downside is when like one of us gets an outside booking on like a weekday, like literally today, for instance, he's up in Indianapolis wrestling, and then you get stuck home alone, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with myself? So I'm going to say the only real downfall is when one is on the road and the other is not. It just gets really hard just being away from them like that. But everything else is just absolutely wonderful.
So there's no mixing up each other's gear.
No, not so far. I mean, he's 6'5" and I'm 5'4", so yeah, that's easy to not mix up.
Well, speaking of gear, can you tell us about your ring gear? Because it's very you don't see the checkered pattern on many ring gear. So could you tell us about your inspiration for the many ring gears that you have?
So I've honestly always loved checker print, like even before wrestling. I really love checker print, and like you said, I didn't really see it around that much. I've honestly been seeing it a lot more recently now, which is great. I'm like, yes, I love this. Like, checkerboard's becoming awesome. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, no, no, don't wear checker print. Like, I'm gonna be the only one, but I know I'm not gonna be the only one because checkerboard's amazing. Um, but I just wanted something to incorporate into my gear that was me, but also help me stand out and kind of help people remember me. Like, yeah, I can wear all this cool gear and these bright, flashy colors, but it's just even more better when people are like, oh, the girl that was wearing the checker print. And then people will know who you're talking about because every set of gear I had since I debuted to now has had checker print on it. And I recently, just today actually, got new gear in the mail, and it's also got checkerboard on it. So I honestly, I can't predict my future, but I don't ever really see myself getting rid of it just because it's been such a big part of me for so long now that it's like, why would I get rid of that when I've established it so much within myself? But I just love checker print so much. And then like other things that I own are also checker print, so it's not just my gear. I have like a pair of Vans that are checker print. I have a fur jacket that's checker print that I'll sometimes wear in the winter if it's cold. So yeah, it's literally just my personality at this point.
There, there was one set of ring gear that wasn't checkered print. No, it was black bottoms and a pink top.
Um, I think I have a plain pair of black shorts that's sparkly that I wore when I debuted. But that's like the only thing I own that's not checker print, so I ended up wearing like a checker print like bolero top, so it's like the sleeves. But I think everything else I've worn has been checker print, I think, if I'm recalling correctly.
It seems like you take a lot of pride and you put a lot of detail into your ring gear. No.
I do. So my first, well, this set that I just got today was one that I actually drew myself. So I designed it myself, and then I sent it to a gear lady, and she made it, and she did incredible. And then my pink and purple set, I had a little bit of help on, but at that time I didn't have the tools to draw my own gear. So I told a gear designer exactly what I wanted, and he drew that for me. But I mean, just having skills now to just kind of sit there and draw my gear and then see it come to life is just so freaking cool.
Well, and where does that kind of come from? Because not every pro wrestler, puts that much thought and detail into their ring gear. Not as much as they
Right.
should, anyway.
A lot of it is just I'm pretty big into like wrestling gear fashion. I always have been. Like sometimes I will look at wrestlers, not even just for the wrestling, but mainly just because I want to see what their wrestling gear looks like. Because I'm just literally obsessed and addicted, and if I was a millionaire, I would probably spend all of that $1 million on wrestling gear. Um, but this recent set, I actually took some inspiration from Alexa Bliss because she's one of my favorites. So once this gets shown into the world, you'll definitely see a lot of Alexa Bliss in it. But I just kind of pick apart gears from different people and just kind of mesh it all together and see what I can come up with. Like I look a lot at like Alexa Bliss. Liv Morgan is another big one. I always love her gears. And then Sasha Banks is another one, or Mercedes Renato, what people know her as now, but that's another one that I take a lot from.
Now, you said that, you want, sometimes you like to see the wrestling for the gear. Who has
Yes.
the top gear? Who is your most favorite gear currently?
Um, Currently, I've really honestly been digging Chelsea Green's gear. We've actually went to the same gear maker before, and Chelsea did compliment my gear. I'm just throwing that out there. But I love what Chelsea Green's putting out with her gear. Her Mania gear was amazing. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, the lilac purple, but I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. And obviously, Mercedes gear and her New Japan stuff, incredible, so cute. And then Liv Morgan, as always, every time I see her, she's always got something new, and I'm always digging it every time.
Who has the worst ring gear?
Personally, because there's not a lot of detail. I really don't like Ronda Rousey's gear, and I don't like Shayna Baszler's. Shayna's isn't as bad because it's got some bling on it sometimes, which I love. I'm always a sucker for bling, but I'm really not a big fan of Ronda's gear, like, at all. Like, I understand it's her personality, MMA, UFC, so super plain, but I would just never, ever wear that, personally.
I mean, she even did the Dragon Ball Z gear for Money in the Bank. You gotta give her
Yeah.
some points for that, right?
Yeah, she gets a little bit of credit, but that's as much as I'll give her. Maybe, like, 2 points of extra credit, and that's it. That's me being generous.
Alright. Ronda Rousey, you have been put on notice.
You are, and I'm coming after you after Shane is done. I'm gonna teach you how to amp up your wrestling gear a little bit.
I feel like you could just do, like, a TV show where you find the wrestlers what they look perfect in the ring gear.
Yeah, and I just help them, like, pizzazz it a little bit.
Alright. Can you tell us about the fact that you will fight anybody that says raccoons are not cute?
You've really been doing your research. I love it. But yeah, I'm freaking obsessed with raccoons. Could not tell you where it started. I honestly think it started when I went to a dumpster one day and I just kind of saw one there and I was like, oh my gosh, raccoons are literally so cute. And my neighbors had a pet raccoon, so obviously I loved that. And then they can also be domesticated. I mean, I don't really recommend it because they're kind of meant for the wild, but it's honestly not a terrible idea to domesticate a raccoon because they're so cute and they act like cats. So I don't see a big deal in it. But yeah, every time I see a raccoon, I freak out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because like their hands are just so cute. But the downfall of loving raccoons is when you're driving down the road and you see a raccoon as roadkill. You see a lot of that in Ohio, I won't lie. And it makes me sad every single time.
I could definitely imagine. I've never thought about domesticating a raccoon before, so that's interesting.
Yeah, you can do that, but I think in certain states you obviously have to have like a certain license or certification, which obviously because you're domesticating a wild animal.
Right.
But yeah.
I can't imagine what kind of trouble they would get in because they do have posable thumbs.
Yes. Well, once you domesticate them, you obviously get the rabies vaccine and all the other ones that you have to get for them. So, but I mean, I see videos of them all the time, and they act like cats, and I'm like, what? I would have no idea that raccoons would just be these crazy little cozy cat-like things running around your house.
So I'm assuming Guardians of the Galaxy is probably your favorite movie.
Uh, all of them except for the last one. I cried a lot.
Everybody
But
did.
yeah. Oh my gosh, literal tearjerker.
Like I knew, like I didn't have spoilers, but watching the movie, like I knew what was going to happen, and I was like, okay, I
I
have to.
did too, and I just didn't want to accept it. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
it was like I have to mentally prepare myself for this because I know this is
Yes.
not.
Anyone who hasn't seen it yet, please, please, mentally prepare yourself and bring the tissues because, oh my gosh.
Have you ever played Sly Cooper?
I have not. I might have in elementary school, like gym class, but other than that, I have not.
best raccoon game ever.
I'm gonna have to check it out now that I know that's a raccoon game.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. If you have a PlayStation 2 or 3, you could easily play them. Definitely.
Ooh, okay. I know my boyfriend does have some sort of PlayStation. I don't know which one it is, but I will ask him, and then that can be my birthday present.
Not entirely sure if it's on like the 4 or 5. Maybe you could go into um the PlayStation Store. Maybe they have Play
Yeah,
1, 2, and 3. I'm
yeah.
not.
I'll have to do my research.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a raccoon, Sly Cooper, and he's a raccoon that is also a detective.
Aw, I love that.
Alright, you visited the Christmas Story house.
Oh my gosh, I loved it so much.
What what was that experience like?
It was super fun. Of course, my luck, me having the terrible luck that I have, it was raining when I got there. Go figure. I mean, why would it not? But just like standing outside of it and seeing it, I was like, oh my gosh. And I immediately FaceTimed my dad. I was like, Dad, look! Because that's like one of his favorite Christmas movies. That and Home Alone, he is obsessed with. But yeah, I literally loved it so much. And like, I honestly, if I could, not that I'm going to, but in the future, I would like to actually go up there like in the winter to see it like with the actual like snow and stuff rather than like the gross rain.
Right.
But it was super cute. And I think the more surprising thing about it was that it was in like a literal like actual neighborhood. Like there's people that just live right next to it, just casually. I'm like, what? This is just so crazy.
That's pretty cool. But
Yeah, you could be like, yeah, I live next to the Christmas Story house. Just like
also,
one up people like that.
also imagine pretty annoying because a lot of people are coming to see the other
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, so your road's constantly occupied by just random people. But when I was there, they had a sign outside that said that the house was for sale. So I was kind of like, what?
That's
No
right.
way. But yeah, it's probably super expensive, I'd imagine. I didn't even try to look at the price because I don't want to know how much that thing is.
Right. Have you ever seen Girl Meets World?
Yes, and I've also gotten that. Oh, do you know your name from Girl Meets World? Yes, I do, guys. My trainer gave that to me. Never seen Girl Meets World in his life. And here we are. Which
So,
is why I can never find a good name on Instagram or Twitter because, they're all taken, obviously. And that's also why I think I won't ever be able to trademark the name because, it's copyright.
I mean, it only lasted like what, like 2 seasons? So,
Something like that. I don't even know. But yeah, so I'm scared. That's honestly why I will never put my name on my gear because I have a feeling if I ever make it big, they're gonna have to change it for that reason. And then if I have my name on my gear, it's like, well, that gear's done. Can't wear that anymore.
I mean, at least give you a tag team partner named Topanga.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, do something with my name. Jeez.
I mean, like I was like, seeing Riley Matthews, and I said, isn't that like Riley Matthews? And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, your trainer didn't even know the show, and he gave you that name.
Yep. I was actually before I debuted, I went up to Michigan with a couple of my wrestling friends to an outside show. And I didn't have a wrestling name at the time. I was just, myself. Because, I never actually wrestled before.
Right.
And my trainer texted his wife, who I was with. They were like, if anybody asks, tell them her name is Riley Matthews. And he wasn't set in stone on the name. So I was like, does he know where this name's from? And she was like, yeah, he has no clue. And so, I mean, they never asked, so we never gave him the name. But I was like, oh, he probably just, came up with that off the top of his head just because he didn't have anything else. And no, we actually ended up going with it. And I was like, oh, well, here we are. I'm getting made fun of now, guys.
Alright. Now, can you tell us about your addiction to the Baja Blast?
Oh my gosh, I'm a literal sucker for Baja Blast. I try to cut back because, it's not really healthy for you, all that sugar. But, I just work it off in the gym and it's fine. But, it's very hard to find in stores. Like, I don't go to Taco Bell all that much because I'm honestly not a fan. I prefer, like, my Mexican street tacos over, like, whatever those tacos are. But I'm always a sucker for Baja Blast. Like, I could be on my deathbed, and you can say, hey, you want to go get a Baja Blast real quick? And I will hop over right out of that deathbed and go get a Baja Blast. It's super good. That, and then just regular Coca-Cola. Oh, that's what I love doing is, like, a couple hours after a match, show's over. Give me a nice cold can of Coke, let me crack that bad boy open, and I am a happy camper.
Coca-Cola, correct?
Yes, I'm definitely a Coke over a Pepsi person.
And now I'm your biggest fan.
Like, honestly, I won't lie, I don't taste too much of a difference, but there's that little tiny bit where I'm like, yeah, alright, so I'm definitely a Coke person.
There's that little defining edge.
Yeah, just that little bit, ever so slightly.
Yes. You're talking to a Coke fan as well.
Love Coke. I also like getting the little mini cans from the store because I just love how little they are and they fit so nice in my little hands. I love it.
But obviously you love the Baja Blast. Or somebody else that likes it. Alex Zane.
He does.
I was
Yeah,
about to say.
he's the literal Taco Bell master dude. That's what I refer to him as. I'm like, oh yeah, the Taco Bell guy. Because his gimmick is literally Baja Blast.
Yes.
That's just how good that drink is. If you've never had it, please go try it.
I mean, it's to the
And
point where Taco Bell Japan actually follows him on Twitter.
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Alright. Before there was before you got into the ring, you actually was on my side of things of previewing and reviewing pro wrestling. Can you tell us about your time on the Fast and Board podcast?
There was a few that I was on that I really enjoyed. It was just me and a couple of friends, and we reviewed pay-per-views and stuff. And they all saw, how crazy I was over Roman Reigns at the time. So I'm not like that anymore, guys. That was just the phase. But yeah, we would review pay-per-views. And then before the pay-per-views, we would do our predictions. So I always enjoyed having a fun time with my friends who enjoyed wrestling as much as me. That was like literally my little bubble that I stuck to. And then, I had a few friends in school, but other than that, that was my crew right there. Because we all had the same thing in common, and they were like my comfort people. You always have those people where, like, they bring out the true person you are, and you can just literally be yourself around them with no cares in the world, no fear of judgment, and that was literally them, so.
And you have said many times on your social media, pro wrestling has saved your life, no?
Yes. It really has, because there's, periods of time you go through where you're like, I don't know what my purpose in life is, no idea what I want to do, I don't have anything that I really love that I'm committed to. But for me, that it's always been pro wrestling ever since I started watching. That's really the only thing that kept me entertained. It's something that I've never not loved. And I knew that wasn't a phase when I saw how incredible the women were as they started evolving as I got older, because it started with AJ Lee. That is always the person that I will look up to. And it's the one that will forever be my inspiration. And not to mention someone who's my dream match that will probably unfortunately never happen. But, it is what it is. But watching AJ Lee And then a couple years later, seeing Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and Charlotte and all of them just empowering all the women and just changing the aspect of women's wrestling. That's when I knew that pro wrestling was made for me, and that was my destination of what I needed to do with my life was pro wrestling. So yeah, that will always be my savior for sure.
No, and you're just 2 years into your career, and that brings us to the colossal question. Like I said, 2 years into your career, almost already has done incredible things, awesome things, worthy of being having a whole movie dedicated to you. Let's say they're making the Riley Matthews movie. What would every movie has a soundtrack? What would be the first three songs on your movie soundtrack?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, you hit me with the hard ones today. Um, I would say, oh man, what do I want it to be? Well, my favorite artist is Joji. I know not a lot of people know of him, which is fine, but he writes more like sadder, lo-fi music, so obviously not a lot of people are going to be into that. But I would want. He has a song called "Slow Dancing in the Dark." It doesn't really have like anything to do with like anything that relates to me, but it's just like one of my favorite songs ever. So I would definitely want that to be on there. Um, and then Diamonds by Rihanna is another one of my favorite songs.
Sweet.
Rihanna's Forever My Girl. So I would want that to be on there. Then I need a third one. What do I want my third one to be? Oh man, this is hard. I'm trying to think of all the songs that I know. Um, oh man. Then I would say Try by Pink, because that is like an actual like motivating song. So I could pinpoint that with like different aspects of I can pinpoint those three songs with different aspects of my life where they fit. So I would say those three would definitely have to be on there.
Alright. Now that we a solid three picks, for sure. Now that we got the soundtrack down, everybody knows you make the soundtrack, then you get the script, and then you go to casting. Who
Yes.
plays Riley? And you can't say yourself because you're obligated to make a Stanley esque cameo.
Okay. Um. Oh gosh. I would say okay. This is a very awkward point in my life, but I have an aunt who is a couple years younger than me. Well, not even a couple years. I think she's like 6 years younger than me. That's a whole different story. But my aunt, she looks just like me. And we kind of have the same personality. So I would say I would want her to play as me because I feel like she could do it really well.
That'd be awesome. Um, I had a suggestion, if you're willing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you consider Rowan Blanchard?
Ooh, that would I feel like that would come full circle. If I played as her, she could play as me. It's only fair.
There you go. She has obviously experience playing Riley Matthews.
Exactly. So she could slide on my checkered gear and make it work. And we both have really long hair, so it's perfect.
There you go. Alright, now every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be three people in your movie, and who would play them?
Okay, so my boyfriend definitely has to be in there because we've literally been together since the beginning of my journey. So I definitely want him in there.
Okay.
And who would play him? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of someone who looks like him because he's tall and he's got long curly hair. So I don't know. It's really hard. You know what? We're gonna make a bold statement here, and I'm going to recruit. Oh gosh, I don't know. Man, I was thinking of someone, but I was like, that would make zero sense. Because of the age.
Now you gotta say it.
Oh. I thought it was perfect until I thought of the age gap, and I was like, yeah, no, that's just not right. But I was thinking he gets the comparison a lot, so Bret Hart. But then I thought of the age, and I was like, yeah, no, not gonna happen.
I mean, we could CGI Bret Hart and make look
Hey, we can use a young Bret Hart, okay?
There you go.
We'll use a very young Bret Hart.
Okay.
And then I would want my dad, because he's been another huge supporter. Oh, but I'm trying to think of who would play my dad. You know what? This isn't real. It's not a real movie. So we're gonna have Stone Cold play as my dad.
Awesome.
Because my dad loves Stone Cold and he's got the same personality, so that's perfect. And we're gonna use a young Stone Cold as my dad. And then I would want who do I want as my third? Oh, let's go with my best friend. And she who would play her? Oh man. This one's hard because I can't think of anyone she's like, if I'm being honest. Let's see. I would have. She reminds me a lot of Nia Jax, so I would have Nia Jax play as her.
Alright.
That is a very awkward cast. You've got Rowan Blanchard, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, and Nia Jax. Like, what kind of world are we living in right now?
I mean,
I don't watch a lot of movies and TV shows, so I can't name, like, actual actors. But I watch a lot of wrestling, so that's what we're on with.
Hey, we got there, didn't we?
Exactly. I think that's an incredible cast, if you ask me. I would go see that movie.
I would go see that movie as well. And you can too. You could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah. They're on sale. Get your popcorn, get your drinks, and get ready.
Exactly. Alright, on to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
No. Skip. Next question. No, absolutely not.
Wow, very anti.
Bold statement there. The textures and the two tastes. Oh, y'all are gross for that one.
I love the passion.
It's the same reason I want to eat sushi, because it's, y'all are gross out in that world, man.
I think we need to get you on team anti-pineapple on pizza for the next
Yeah, that's going to be my new gimmick. I'm going to come out with a shirt that says no pineapple on pizza.
Pizza Party Pro, book the school. Alright, what's your spirit Pokemon?
This is going to be a really basic answer, but that's okay because it's just fine and it makes sense to me, but he's also my buddy in Pokemon Go, so I really love Pikachu. He's so cute, and he's just that little, like, lightning, So, I love Pikachu so much. If I could have a Pokemon as a pet, it would 100% be Pikachu.
Okay. Now we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
I feel like I do, but I'm scared to answer because I feel like I don't know at the same time.
Would you like to try, or would you like me to give you the answer?
You know what? I'm not going to embarrass myself, so go ahead and give me the answer.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Because a Doug can't spell.
That's hilarious. See, my answer would not have been close to that.
Damn.
That's hilarious.
Now I want to know what your answer was.
Honestly, it kind of left my brain at this point. That's funny though.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers.
We do.
The memory alive.
Alright.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual rock.
Uh, you know, that Rock would make me look like a terrible wrestler because I feel like he could out wrestle me 100%. But it also, I mean, it depends on the size of the rock. If it's like a little pebble, I'll kick its head off. But if it's a big boulder, I'm losing. I'm honestly, I'm gonna just lay down on the mat when the bell rings and just let it pin me.
I believe it's the size of like a shoe.
Oh, maybe then. It depends on the size of the shoe. Because it could be a size 15 shoe or it could be a size 6 shoe.
I would say about a size 9 or 10.
Okay, well then, maybe I have a little bit of a competition coming at me there. But I would stand up to that rock.
Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in
What?
an arm man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
What?
Yep.
That's crazy.
He also did not win the match.
That's funny.
Yes.
I'm gonna hold that against him forever now. He did it to himself.
Well, I mean, he didn't lose technically, but The Rock was the champion, so he retained. They tied.
Ah, yeah.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In high heels?
Okay. High
Maybe.
heels doing what?
I mean, I'm already short, so it kind of gives me a height advantage, you know what I'm saying? But, I would use it to kick people's heads off, because that's what I do. So I feel like, just having that high heel really adds to the moment. Because they're like, dang, that girl just did that in heels? Yeah.
So still kicking people's heads off
Yep.
in 5 years.
In high heels.
In high heels. Right. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
I would say, definitely go watch my tag match from Mission Pro. I didn't get to do as much, as I would at a singles, but I still did stuff that I regularly do. I'm trying to think of another one that might actually be out there for people to see. Because my memory is terrible. I'm trying to remember where all that I wrestled. I think I have a couple on IWTV and Fight TV. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, I would say for sure check out my tag match. That one's on Title Match Network. And then my match against Marti Bell was also incredible, so you can go check that one out too.
Can we find the match with Marty on YouTube?
That one is not on YouTube, because that one is actually owned by the PGWA. So I believe you might have to pay to watch that one. I'm not sure how much. But that one is on ladysports.com.
Okay. Is there anything we could find on YouTube?
I know my match at Mission Pro's on there. I don't know exactly what else is on there. I haven't actually looked it up. But I'm sure if you looked up my name, a few of them might pop up.
I will find the Mission Pro match, and I will get the link, and I will put it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that wants to see it, hasn't seen it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I think so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
AJ Lee?
Worst wrestler.
Oh man. This is a very speedy of me. I'm sorry. God. We're just gonna go with Ronda Rousey.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Charlotte Flair.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Sasha Banks.
The one now or WWE?
WWE for sure.
Original or Snoop Dogg?
Oh, original. I love the original.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is.
Kayfabe is alive. Hello.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Squash. Ooh, I'm trying to think if it has seeds. That's definitely a vegetable because I don't think it has seeds.
It is indeed a fruit.
Oh, it's a fruit? I got that wrong. Oh, man. I didn't know it had seeds in it.
It has seeds.
I don't eat squash. I have no idea. Well, it's nice to know the squash is a fruit. Learn something new every day.
Yes, and you are part of Squash Squad now, and that means a hell of a lot more. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring door gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
It kind of depends on the size of the butt. I won't lie. But we'll go. I'm not good with ratios. Oh, how do I ratio this? I would say I don't even have a ratio. It kind of literally depends on the size of the butt and the gear maker, obviously.
So, the size of the butt determines how big the trunks are?
Yeah, it actually does.
Okay.
Because I measure myself enough, and like I measure other people. So yeah. It's hard to explain. You just gotta get some gear made.
So you're saying, like, the bigger the butt, the more butt cheek could sell?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
That was really hard to explain. But, it is what it is.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, I've not, but that would be very interesting. I would wonder how to know who Darby Allin is unless they're like an actual wrestling fan.
And that is the
But
correct
no.
answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me, Riley.
Yes, thank you for having me. That was actually a really fun interview. I've never been asked that many questions, but I honestly really liked it.
Well, we like to keep it interesting and fun for all.
Yes, that was actually really fun. One of the funnest ones I've done for sure.
And she's on the record saying that. Once again, where can we find all things Riley Matthews on social media?
You can find me Instagram, Twitter, the new Threads. That's probably replacing Twitter. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I think I said those already. But yeah, my username is Riley, RILEYYY, Matthews, across all platforms.
And your merchandise?
My merchandise, if you see me in person, it's with me, obviously. And I've got stickers, keychains, all that jazz. But if you're obviously not in the local area, I do have a Pro Wrestling Tees store where it's got my t-shirts on there. And the link for that is prowrestlingtees.com/shop Riley Matthews.
And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All the links to all of our social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Buy a shirt before I become big and up my prices.
Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by World Energy and Fairway Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new interviews. Riley is obviously our 200th interview, and we're going to have 200 more as we go beyond. Um, and you can follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on Twitter and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. You can follow me personally at JameShay993. Alright, Riley, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Alright.
For our very special guest, Riley Matthews, Flicker Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit.
Entertainment!
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.